All right, I'm going to call the July 9th, 2019 Property and Finance Committee meeting to order at 5 p.m. Call the person Coth, Chairman. We'll just go around the room quickly and introduce ourselves.
Public Works Superintendent.
Haven't taken community development.
Shane Blazer. Herman Blevins, Chief of Police.
Scott Kelly, Alderperson.
Tom Ryan, Alderman.
Josh Vitro.
Jake Cattenall, Alderperson.
Tim DeSorsi, Finance.
All right. I would just like to ask the committee for unanimous consent to move item number 9 up first, and then subsequently move items 6, 7, and 8 up ahead after item 9. Is that okay with the committee? All right. So we will go into item number 9, which is consider a request from Johnny's LLC located at 2610 A Street South for a Class B beer and Class B liquor license for the premise extension to include a portion of their parking lot for August 10th, 2019 from 1 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. You want me to start with you on that one, Chief? Or?
I've got no issue with it.
Okay.
Josh is here to speak on it.
Josh?
Yes. We're doing a motorcycle ride for the Alex C. Dove Foundation. It's a charity, whatever, so they're trying to buy a house, or they bought a house on, I believe it's Lake Camelot, for terminally ill cancer patients and their families to go and take a vacation there for a week or whatever. So we're just doing this to raise money for that cause, that foundation.
I'll make a motion that we approve the premise extension on, what date is it again? August 10th from 1 p.m. to 2:30 a.m.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and second. Is there any other further discussion?
Just a question, I see on the map here on the back about a police escort, is that, not that I have a problem, I just want to know what it is. Is that to go down the street or just through the corner that's there to?
What we were looking for was just to get out onto 8th Street. I'm expecting a lot of motorcycles, and it would just be easier, I think, if we could stop quick and get everybody out, you know, go in organized pack.
So,
Are you going south on 8th then?
No, probably 54
Okay.
would be the best. I don't have the map made out yet. That's my fault. But
Do me a favor, if this gets approved, once you get your come meet with us and we can make the arrangements to do it, and we'll have the police department, we'll help you. We just need to know the route and things and the timing and all that, so.
Sure. We want to leave at 10:30 in the morning. So
Okay.
if that's not an issue.
I wouldn't mind, we just get together and talk about it so that we're all on the same page.
Paul, did you have something?
Yeah, so then our standard thing, Josh, is to notify the engineering department the Friday before, because then we'll send out notice to the paper or whatever, or not to the paper, but to emergency government and stuff like that, that the street will be closed from this time to this time, because that way if there's a call, then they know not to go down that road. We'll obviously deliver the barricades to you guys, but you'll have to pull them out yourself that morning then.
For Clyde Street?
For Clyde
Okay.
Street, yeah.
Okay.
But like I say, just notify the engineering department, just 421-8205, that's either Craig Ashbeck or somebody else there. And notify that, you know, if this gets approved, that it was approved at Finance and Property, and then they'll notify all the proper emergency response and stuff like that, so that they're aware of the closure instead of trying to go down Clyde and then it's blocked off. You gotta go down to Grove or whatever, so.
Okay.
Just to go with it, is Clyde to be closed then
So
during this event? Because looking on the map again,
what I would like to do is from 9:30 or like 9 to 11 close from west of the Olympic parking lot,
Yeah.
so they can still have access to 7th Street. Just that little section for a couple hours for parking while we're getting everybody registered and lined up and ready to go. I'm just worried that we won't have enough parking in the surrounding area to get everybody in there.
I just want to know if it was all,
We'll put it
the
out.
whole event or just.
No, just a couple hours in the morning and
Either way.
on with everybody's days. So I know the owner of the house that it would affect. I can talk to him if need be. So
Any further discussion? All right, we have a motion and second to approve the premise extension on August 10th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks for doing it.
All right, next we're going to move up to item number 6, which is review and consider a proposal to purchase a 2019 Pelican NP street sweeper. And what do you on that, Paul?
Okay, thank you for moving it around for me. So virtually, this has been about a year that we've been looking to replace this sweeper. In my info there, it says in 2008, the city was required to purchase a regenerative air sweeper at that time to meet the standards of the DNR for the stormwater management. That machine is lived past its life and is starting to cost us a fair amount of money to maintain. But also then during that time, the city has MSA Engineering on staff to manage the stormwater program for us. And we have since built enough stormwater retention ponds and cleaning catch basins at enough frequency that we are no longer required to have this regenerative air sweeper. It's virtually a large vacuum that's mounted on a truck. And so we are now able to go back to the mechanical style sweepers, but we still have to maintain 3 of them to meet the frequency requirements for the sweeping of the streets. That being said, there's virtually a $60,000 cost savings from going to the regenerative air to back to the mechanical sweepers. And so this is just like the truck market, where it's a very volatile market where we aren't able to put things out to bid or have one built specifically for us. So Bruce Municipal, which is now virtually called McQueen Equipment, had one that came off the line back in June that was virtually built the same way that all of ours are. We just have the 2 options that we would need to add to the machine. So the machine price is $215,050, which then we need to add the front light bar because one night a week we sweep the highways and things like that, so we need to have enough lights that were visible. And then the air seat on both the driver's side and passenger, because they spend 75 or 60% of their time driving on the curb side, and then the other 40% they're driving on the normal drive side. So the actual purchase price for that then is $217,080. We own 2 other mechanical sweepers, and they are all this Pelican NP. The other one that we have is a 2014, I believe. And so this is an identical model of that with many interchangeable parts and things like that. So we did demo other brands, but we just didn't see improvements or benefits, to the other brands. So
Any discussion or questions for Paul?
Tim, what's the balance of the replacement fund? We're good?
Started a year at about 900,000, so we got to pay for obviously the new garbage trucks. I think that's obviously these items, so there should be sufficient funds in there. Plus what we put in through depreciation this year, which is around 400,000.
Thank you. I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of the...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just like my 2 cents worth on this, and actually be on the next couple items too, so I'll just say it this time. But personally, from me anyway, that and I obviously understand why it comes to finance, and I know the reasoning that people give for property, but these dealing with public works projects that, in my estimation, and I don't have a problem with doing this, but I just feel that these should go through Public Works. That to request the need and whatnot, to me, the finances, then we plead the case to get the money to go ahead and purchase it. to me it falls on, and that's some of my reasoning that, I even mentioned at last month's council meeting of committee duties and what there all is, but, you know, it seems like, to some it may seem like it adds a layer of another meeting, but it's also something that could be put on, you know, in this case, a regular public works meeting and come to finance for that. That's just my 2 cents worth, and you know, it's dealing with the public works functions and that, so that's all.
So would Public Works discuss the need to get a sweeper, or I'm just trying to figure out what the extra layer would...
Did we know?
No, I'm just wondering what the extra layer would...
The extra, I guess,
Allow for
to me, if people would think of an extra layer, it'd be another meeting. It's just that, I guess you could say an extra meeting, but it, you know, you wouldn't have to have a special meeting necessarily. It would just be put on a regular meeting.
I guess I'm just confused on what we're looking to accomplish by going to Public Works and then coming to Finance.
Well, I think, to me, it's the committee that's involved would be the one to say, is there really a need for it?
Right.
Then that committee would come forward to finance to plead their case for you guys to buy it, to allot the money for it.
I guess my only concern would be if we do it with, you know, this for Public Works, then how much other stuff do we have to?
Well, that's the whole thing about the problems that I foresee with committees having, what they all do. This happened, you know, this isn't brand new, it's something that's
Right.
happened in years past, but, you know, like I said, I just wanted to put in my 2 cents worth.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with what's taking place.
I don't quite remember. I remember the big council, but I don't remember all the committees. Is that kind of how it flowed through before it went through, let's say, Public Works to discuss the...
I think so. It seemed.
I don't remember how...
Yeah, without checking back, it just seemed like that's where that was when the big thing was that we had to go to that certain type of sweeper, and back in 2008, I think that you referenced, Paul, is I think that's how it went through Public Works or whatever we may have been called at that point in time.
Yeah, I didn't remember
We
how that
had
went.
maintenance away and whatever they were, if it was that then.
Okay.
You did make your motion. Do you still want to?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we make the purchase because, to reiterate, we need to have 3 sweepers, correct? And that's per DNR.
Yeah, so meet the requirements of the DNR.
And if we don't get a 3rd sweeper, and if we say we're just gonna have 2, is there grant money, or is it legal, or?
I'm not aware of any grant money. This was originally purchased under the grant money, but I'm not aware of any.
Is there any negative
It's
fact that we
associated
don't?
with our
That's-
MS4 stormwater permit.
Oh, okay.
So
So-
every year we submit
yeah.
our compliance for them. It has to do with what's our cycle for street sweeping activities. So that would be
I'm just-
downsides. They say you're not compliant. Sort of when we had to build all the stormwater ponds.
Right.
That was in pursuit of compliance with the MS4 stormwater program.
I guess I'm just trying to
So
highlight that the fact that we need a
We don't
3rd
want another
sweeper.
sweeper just to sweep the streets.
Exactly, right, and that we need this to comply with our permit.
yeah, so virtually what it is there is hot areas that were identified, that being highly industrial areas or state highways and things like that. Those hot areas have to be swept twice a week, and then all the other areas are once per month. Now, to do that, we have to run our 3rd sweeper virtually to get 2 weeks out of the month in order to get the whole entire city done once per month, because we pulled the second machine off to go and get those hot areas, being the industrial park and the state highways and stuff like that, and the downtown areas where those deposit directly into the river.
Sounds good, I just wanted to establish that the need to, for the 3rd one permit. So I'll make the motion to purchase the 2019 Pelican NP from McQueen Equipment for $215,050. What's that?
It's $217,080.
Yeah, and then I was gonna do the addition, plus, and I guess I could have done the total with the addition of 1,015 for light bar and 1,015 for the high back chair, for a total of $217,080.
I will second it.
All right, we have motion and second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 7, review and consider proposals to purchase a towable generator.
Okay, so going through the background information, we currently have 2 towable generators, one being from 1980, the other one being from 1999. The newest one from 1999 is no longer manufactured, and/or it's very difficult to find parts to fix it. It became extremely evident here with the floods that we had this spring, as it seemed like about every 3 or 4 hours we were having to go out and switch out the generators about the same time we got the one fixed. The other one, something went bad on it or whatever. So the 1980, we're still able to get parts for it. It's an Owen generator, kind of a standard name in the industry yet. But the other one is an Ingersoll Rand, which, like I said, they're no longer in business. So one of our thoughts is we can. The other issue we have is when we do expansion where we have to run the dewatering wells. Our 220 pumps that we use for dewatering wells. Our current generator, I believe, is like a 65 kilowatt. And when we start 3 pumps, the initial startup on the pump isn't enough to kick out the generator because it takes more than the 65 kilowatts. So the next step is to go to a 75. Well, in talking with the wastewater treatment plant, they have one towable generator for when the power goes down. And they literally go and sit at a lift station for a half hour, pump the lift station down, go to the next one, pump it down. So if we were to go to a 90 kilowatt generator, which is what we're proposing, we would also then have a backup generator for them to be able to run 2 generators to pick up these lift stations instead of taking the possibility of having something go wrong with their generator and/or longer duration where they can't get the lift stations up and pumped down quick enough where it has a backup or whatever. So we're buying virtually a size bigger than what we need, but there will probably serve a dual purpose if we ever need to. So, and we also don't have any sort of backup generator at the city garage either. So.
Any questions for Paul on this? I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the Cat 90 kW towable generator for $64,100 from Better Cat.
Go ahead. I'll second it.
All right. With a motion and a second, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 8, review and consider proposals to replace snow plow wing on 2 single-axle patrol trucks.
Okay, so then this is an equipment replacement fund that Jim Borski, my predecessor, had worked on for quite some time. In that, we have 2 2006 Sterling axles, which are the 2 single-axle trucks that we have in our fleet. Originally, he had them scheduled to be replaced in 2019. With the current issues with purchasing of trucks and things like that, because of the volatile situation that's going on, we took a look at those trucks, and they're 13-year-old trucks, but mechanically we haven't had any issue, nothing but minor issues with them. The trucks cosmetically are in pretty nice shape yet, but we did find some issues with some of the equipment on them. So rather than purchasing $200,000 truck, we did some box repairs with just cutting out some steel and putting new steel in, and then repainting them. We redid the bushings on the underbody plows, and then looking at the wings that are on them, which allows us to virtually take a lane and a half of snow at a time. The wings have taken quite a bit of abuse because of hitting the curbs and stuff like that. So rather than, like I say, rather than purchasing a $200,000 truck, we went and got proposals from 3 area vendors and to replace the wings on them, which will easily give us 5 or 6 more years of life in the truck. By then, it should kind of be seeing the end of the mechanical use or whatever. And they're well served their purpose. Right now, they only have about 85,000 miles on them, and normally on a truck like that, you can get 175 to 200,000 miles on them. So, like I say, we're hoping to just replace this piece of equipment on it and maybe do another retrofit with it, with putting a brine tank on it, because these trucks do not have the brines. They got the controllers for them and everything like that. But at this time, we're just looking at putting a rear mounted wing on it. Like I say, we got proposals from Casper Truck Equipment. They were $1,000 less than Monroe Truck, which is the request that I gave you. But the reason why I stayed away from Casper is it was a little bit lighter duty of a plow, or wing, I'm sorry. And Monroe Truck also supplied the other two wings that were on the other two tandems. And so then our whole fleet would have the exact same wing, so it's not another manufacturer that we have to keep on our shelves. And we'd be able to have the same parts for all 4 trucks. And it's, like I said, it's $1,000 a piece, so $2,000 for the 2 of them. And it's a heavier duty wing.
Any questions for Paul?
Makes sense, and commend the guys and your crew for modifying and making this usable versus buying new trucks. And I know, but I hear the guys down there are really good at fabricating and be able to do these type of things, which ultimately saved a lot of money.
Just to speak on the $2,000 difference, everything else is from the Monroe Truck. Keep the parts the same and interchangeable, and I think if you take the cheap route now to save the $2,000, you might create more headaches and have to spend more money in the future having to deal with the other part, making it fit and all that stuff. So I would be in favor of just not doing that and going with Monroe Truck right from the get-go. So on that, I would make a motion to approve the purchase of the 2 9-foot rear-mounted wings from a Monroe Truck in Marshfield for $12,247 each, for a total of $24,494.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you again for moving me up.
No problem.
Good luck.
All right, we are going to double round back to item number 2, which is review and consider alternatives to encourage the sale of city property in Savant's subdivision. Is that something I'm going to do for, Adam?
Yeah. I know you guys were hoping that we'd do some talking tonight. So this one and the next item are just really looking at city assets and going to the committee for some recommendations or some input on how to hopefully either see some occupancy in some of them or get them off of our books and onto the tax roll. So the first one, if you're not familiar, Savant subdivision was developed back in the early 2000s. It was basically the city took the lead and put in sewer and water, platted it, put in streets for the majority of it. There is one corner on the northwest corner that doesn't have sewer and water and fully improved streets as of yet, but there are still numerous lots that are available for sale. I did throw a map in there to show you the currently available lots that are out there. At the time of this subdivision, the city council set a price of $13,000 per buildable lot. We have not seen any action or any sale, except for I think one lot has been sold since I've been here in about the last 8 years, and that was to a property owner who bought a vacant lot to combine with his existing home. So it did not result in any new construction. So just trying to, I guess, kind of kick the hornet's nest or stir up some interest on it, looking at some alternatives of dropping the price down to $5,000 a lot, contingent on the building permit being pulled within 12 months of the sale of the lot. Because ultimately, we don't want to just get rid of the lots, we want to see new home construction, hence some of the other programs we're looking at. So that's what closing, 5,000, and with that clawback or buyback clause that a permit has to be pulled within 12 months. And if this is approved by the committee and the council, then we just basically send out that notice to all the home builders in the area, letting them know, and advertise it with some press releases just to see what concerns interest.
I think it's a good idea.
No.
Tom? Well, I would make a motion to accept the staff recommendation to sell lots for the price of $5,000 with a requirement that a permit has to be pulled for a new home within 12 months of closing. The property would revert back to the city for the area known as the Savan subdivision.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Next is review and consider options for promotion and leasing available spaces within the Centralia Center.
Right, so this was another one that as staff was meeting and trying to figure out ways that we can, I guess, help offset city costs. With the changing of with the county vacating portions of the Centralia Center and other changes that have occurred, there's currently 3 vacant spaces in the first floor of the Centralia Center, and there's for sure 2, possibly a 3rd up on the 2nd floor, although one still does have some storage from other tenants in it. But ultimately, we wanted to reaffirm the asking price per square foot that we would be putting out into the public, because it has been a while since that was affirmed. And then also recommending that we try and work with either an exclusive realtor or all realtors within the community to try and get the word out and try and see if we can get some tenants in there. Obviously, there is a cost associated with bringing in a realtor for a transaction. However, the standard going rate of in the 68% range, that's payable out of the lease. So it's a cost to the city, but it's not that the city is expending funds to do so, especially when you have vacant spaces. If you don't have anyone in them, you're not making money anyway, or you're not offsetting the cost of operating the Centralia Center anyway. So the square footages that we're recommending based on our costs of operation and incorporating utilities is $12.50 a square foot on the main floor, which are the higher ceilings, a little more developed spaces, and then $10.50 a square foot on that 2nd or the mezzanine floor. And then really open to, I've talked to a couple of realtors as far as working with them. Some say, well, realtors are probably always going to say they would like an exclusive contract to market the spaces. Obviously, that gives them the advantage, but it also, as far as the city is concerned, we know that someone is motivated to fill the spaces. If you just put it out to all the realtors that this is what we're trying to fill, there's always the chance in the back of their mind that they'll bring a tenant to the city's attention, and the city will go off and negotiate on the side and cut out the realtor. So that's kind of, I guess, 2 sides of the same coin. Open to either option, just really looking to get permission to involve realtors in filling these spaces at those suggested square footages.
And I got a text message sent to me today with some pictures regarding this. I'll show you the text message. I think it's, I don't know if it's more of a statement or a question.
I was going to ask, 'cause I must have got the same one.
I did as well. Yeah.
So
And then I'll show you.
it's regarding maintenance.
And then there's the attached photos that come in on the text message as well.
Is this related to the leasing of the spaces?
Yeah, it's regarding leasing in the sense of.
Did you want to see it too?
Yeah, I didn't get-
Improving the maintenance or the face of the property to make it more marketable because it looks maintained.
Oh,
I think
is this
that's-
from Rosemary?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, because Tom, Rosemary, and Mary Jo and I met there today,
Okay.
so I think, okay, all right, I guess I would just.
And I think that's more what I took it as. I think it's related to the topic of that is it goes to marketability. You know, if you're going to sell your house, you're going to paint. A lot of times people paint and make it more marketable. So I agree that it's an issue, but
The question,
something that we need to look at.
Sure, the question,
But-
I guess, in those particular areas that we talked about is they're actually already leased spaces where those maintenance concerns are.
Oh, okay.
So in terms of the issue that, I guess, I was just curious what it was. And yeah, we talked about it, and I think Matt's aware of the issues.
Okay.
At least Joan and I had talked about them 6 months ago, and we thought that part of our streets were going to address it, but they clearly
And
haven't
now,
gotten time.
I think that was my only question, who's in charge of doing that?
Yeah, Matt's crew should be the one. They're the ones that pressure wash that area, and I think they're planning to do an open house at the end of this month. So I believe it's on the docket before then, but that's a good question for Matt. Let's figure out Joe and Terry to see where the schedule is on that.
I guess my question is, do you feel we'd have more success by an exclusive contract with a realtor? Or, because I'm not opposed to either one,
I'm torn. I didn't put forth a recommendation because I can see
I don't-
both ways.
yeah, I don't
I know
know.
Adam has reasoning maybe one over the other, and that's more the
I mean,
exclusive.
again, it's, because I talked with realtors and they lean towards the exclusive contract. However, there's nothing to say that we, again, as long as the council is okay going out, putting it out there just to all the realtors and see if we get any action over the next 3 to 6 months. If we're not seeing anyone really engaged and bringing forth prospects, come back and get permission to basically put out a proposal for an exclusive contract. So we can look at it as a multi-step process.
Yeah, I think whatever you guys would feel is most successful to try to fill that space, but maybe that's the route to go with, put it out there and then reevaluate in a couple of months.
Or maybe even next month.
You guys probably need a couple of months.
Probably 3 months.
Yeah, I would probably give that at least 2 to 3.
The trouble with if you engage with a realtor they're gonna want a long amount of time or
Absolutely.
some perpetuity that if they brought the lead to the table or carve out certain leads in the future that, the more that these realtors are working it, the more apt somebody's gonna take
Absolutely.
a bite on it. And I think just the timeline of the VA clinic, Boys and Girls Club YMCA project coming online, there's going to be a higher marketability there. So I'd almost be inclined to do it the way you're talking now, allow it to just be out there, and then if come next March when the project comes online, and then the VA clinic in probably May of next year, April, May, that maybe we do somebody exclusive at that time. But I don't know. I know Tim was in the meeting. We went back and forth. There's pros and cons on both sides.
And maybe that, along that thinking, I agree, because as that property finishes and that becomes finalized, it's more marketable. And I agree that maybe we hold off, and then if we're sitting in the same position with the VA and the YMCA up and running and life is good, then maybe we need to think about, if we don't have any bites, to think about it at that point, go with the exclusive.
I think our other intention was to pursue shorter-term deals, not knowing the marketability, long-term marketability of all of the surrounding property there, right? We're talking about a couple different things in the works. So I think if we do bring someone to the table, being cognizant about the short-term versus the long-term. But we've had that discussion already with the now leased community theater space that we just leased out last year. So, all these things considered, I guess.
Go ahead.
Yeah, as long as you got some email sent to you, whatever, but with that, I think, and I don't care which way we go on as far as marketing it either, but I think it'd be worthwhile if we could get from Matt or whoever a list of what's to be looked at, what needs to be done at the center. So a dollar figure could be put upon it.
I sent him a list, and I think he's considered it, so I think we can easily
Right,
send that over.
it's there,
And add these other
mostly
things.
there, or is there, or whatever, but you could have a copy and see what there is, and it may be something that for us to look at budget-wise to move things along.
Yeah, I just feel if we're gonna,
So it doesn't go another couple of years or whatever, and.
If we have it, we need to
through there, they're
maintain
gonna
it.
see all that stuff anyway, right? It's like under house, like you said, or something.
I just think we need to maintain the stuff we have.
And maybe if I can on that note, when we're talking about the maintenance items, I know when Tom and I were there meeting with folks today, there's the exterior wall. We just did that a couple years ago. The rear wall needs to be done again. And we also talked about the public entrance. I think I've referred to that in a few emails or something to the council, but I think we should maybe get a scope and a potential cost estimate for putting a public entrance, since the mall entrance is going to be eliminated, or is already gone. You can't get into the Central Center, but the front and the side door. So I would add that to the list if folks are amenable to having that on another agenda in the future. consider that a formal referral. Maintenance on Centralia items,
Yeah.
perhaps.
I know, I forgot what, I brought my chief, but.
So I guess
No, go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we put out there the asking price of what, $12.50 a square foot for the mezzanine space, or you want,
$12.50 for the main floor and
and then
$50
tip for the,
mezzanine.
correct. And then I guess, how long does the committee feel like? We're in July now,
I said 2 to 3 months, so let's review in October.
October?
Yeah.
And for a review in October. An update and a review.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any other further discussion?
The only comment would be all leases would still come through that group, like any other lease, so if anything, any proposal comes, we'll have it for them, as it comes.
Sounds good.
And I just didn't know if the committee wanted to put a cap on potential compensation. Again, the typical range seems to be 6 to 8% of whatever leases it ultimately signed. If you're comfortable with that range, or
If it's normal, I mean,
Industry standard.
but if we're looking for a cap, maximums, I'm always in between guys.
Oh, 7?
Yeah, if they stay between 6 and 8, I'd go 7, because I don't want to.
okay, so compensation not to exceed 7% of the lease.
Perfect, that's good
Would
with
you
me.
be amicable to amend the motion to include the 7% cap?
I am.
You still do it yourself?
Yep.
All right. We have motion and second. Any other further discussion? All right, hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Adam.
Next is to consider a request from the Wisconsin Rapids Fire Department to identify and develop a fire station improvement plan. So we're starting with you on that there, Chief.
Has everybody looked at what I submitted, so don't have to go over it.
Nope, not in detail.
So, just a quick history where we're at. We've identified we have some issues we believe at Station 2 as far as the sleeping quarters. Station 1, we're kind of crammed, and when we're at full staffing, we have to make accommodations to meet everybody's needs. We had, through mediation, the lawyer for the city we had retained was going to look at what we're legally required to accommodate, even when we haven't heard back. I don't know if they forgot it. We have not heard back. But even once we get the recommendations, I don't think we're going to be in any different spot than we are right now. I am no expert in station architect, station design, what we're required to do, what standards we need to meet. So I guess, to me, the most logical step right now would be to hire somebody that specializes in fire station design, come and do an analysis of both stations. I think they would know what we're required to provide, what the standards are for fire stations, and from there, take their recommendations and kind of have what I have listed in scope, out of scope, what we're willing to address, right now, and what we need to plan on in the future. I think everybody here has to realize that I would not want to recommend spending or sticking a lot of money into Station 2. That station is 60 years old. I think eventually I'll be gone, but I think there has to be a plan in place to replace that station. But I think it's all going to tie in together, what we want to do, how much money we want to stick into Station 2. I think the minimum is bringing up the sleeping quarters to standards. But when you look at Station 1, then I think we need to identify what is the plan and long-term goal for Station 2 and what we really want to stick into each station. So I think the first step would be having somebody come in, analyze both stations, come up with recommendations, and then work off of what's the scope, correcting what we need to do immediately, and then we can start planning for long-term goals for both stations.
Can't agree more with this. I've been kind of arguing for this since last year in the budget, and these, especially at the fire department, these quarters are at least these people are there for 24 hours at least, and we need to make accommodations suitable for that time there, and not something to get by. So I strongly support that we bring somebody in here that has a specialty in this and getting us to a point where we're set a little bit better for the future and future potential hirings and those type of things. And this makes a start. So I'll make a motion that I guess I'm not sure if we follow this fire department improvement plan, and I guess to take step one now and hire or find a consultant.
Well, I have identified 5 bugles and MIS, 5 bugles I have talked to. Their estimate of what this would cost from doing the analysis and the drawing plans is 10 to 15,000 per station. But being we're looking at both stations at once, we're not doing this station, they're coming back and doing station 2. They would say plan on 15,000 for both stations for the analysis and the drawings for the improvements. From there, what we want to do with it and what we want to stick the money into would be up to us. I think you're going to obviously have to put it out for bids then for contractors to come in and do the work. MSI, they come up front and they would do it. Their requirement is that we move on it within a certain time frame, or they'll come back and charge us, and that we use their architectural firms to do the drawings and the schematics of the station. So
I personally am not comfortable being told that you need to use this person, this person, this person. I don't know. I guess I like the first option better, than the first company that comes up with a plan, but.
I'm more familiar with 5 bugles. I'm not so much with MSI. I know 5 bugles has done the majority of the stations in central and northern Wisconsin. They're out of Eau Claire.
But just,
I've got a motion partially made here, but do we technically, is it legal to approve a finance amount, being that it wasn't?
I think in some discussions I've had with other staff at City Hall, if we are going to do anything that requires a bid, we have to put it out that we're looking for this type of work. We have to allow for bids to be collected, and then by law, we have to go with the lowest qualified bidder.
But we're not at that point where we're letting it for bid.
That's for construction.
Construction.
Bids, but for professional services, you don't always have to select the lowest.
Okay. Because then the other company.
Yeah, we go out for public construction over 25,000, that's when you have to notice it with a class, whatever in the paper, you know, and then have people pay, and then that's when you have to select the lowest qualified bid. Because it's on construction type projects, but for professional type services like this, analysis, those rules don't apply.
I guess my question is, do we need to have 2 proposals in front of us? And then do we need to choose one of those proposals, or?
I guess that would be your, I'd be comfortable with either one. Like I said, 5 bugles, I think we know what we're talking about for, they pretty much said count on, you know, about 15 grand for the consulting fees, analysis, the drawings, for whatever we choose.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if Sue prefers us to have some type of written document stating that this is, you know, outline something that we're approving. I don't know. You know, that's, I guess, my only, I don't have a problem with it. I just don't want to get in a bind here with approving something that is not written in front of us, that we can have a document saying that, you know, we want to go with this proposal.
How about just having Chief go out and actually get numbers on the proposals and bring them back to Property and Finance next month? So then we have numbers in front of us, so we know exactly what we're approving. So we have bids with numbers and terms and conditions, because the way it sounds is 5 bugles is just straight up front. They're going to come in and do this for approximately $15,000. The other company,
I'm very uncomfortable with the other, or at least that's set up.
They would come in and do the analysis of the stations, and then any work that we were to do, any remodeling, expansion, whatever. In there we have no new stations, but we would be required to use them as the firm that does how much that entails. I don't think they would know until we come up with,
right,
you know, what we're willing to.
I'm just wondering if we just need something in writing to say that we approve this. I'm in favor of it, obviously, but I just want to make sure that it's okay to do it like that.
legally legal.
Legally legal.
Just a quick question, there were two, you said 2 or 3 firms that you had contact, you had 2 written down in here, okay.
Yeah.
One minute question.
Tom?
Yeah, it's probably, I think, we changed, someone getting at, I guess, is
Struggling.
that some type of, what we want them to do, some type of contract or something, specifying what we, if it's what you have written here, Scott, or whatever, but, specifying what we want them to look at, to do, some type of contract, I would think we'd have to,
From what I understood,
Yeah,
they're going to come in and look at both stations, the state of both stations. They would do a complete analysis and recommendations on upgrades to both stations, where we stand. I think it's our responsibility to, what are we going to do with these recommendations, and how
Right.
far are we willing to go? Because like I said, spending a lot of money to me on Station 2 just seems wasteful, but I think we need to identify there may need to be upgrades. But then it all ties in, to Station 1. Our training room is at Station 2. I mean, in the future, how big do you want Station 2 to be? Or do you just want it to be a satellite station? And if that's the case, Station 1 may be eventually an expansion or what, I'm not sure. Until you have the plans and what the recommendations are, I don't know where to even begin.
I think I'm just getting after the
scope of the work and.
what we're getting for $15,000, what we want them to do.
Yeah, right. Because you haven't gotten a proposal formally from them yet.
No.
Yeah, just like it has to.
What it says that they would do for.
I guess if I have permission, I will seek
Yeah,
them for a proposal. And,
Do an RFQ, request for quote.
Yeah, like a quote, and then, because I'm in favor of this, I just want to make sure that we're doing in the right order here and making sure that.
And I think our
Legally, that works.
interpretation, oh, sorry.
No,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say, our interpretation was just to get a concurrence on the scope.
Oh,
And then
okay.
if everyone was good with the scope, we would put that out and they would respond then with a proposal on what that scope, and then we bring a contract back.
So
That was
that's-
at least what I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
In terms
So,
of the process.
I just want to make sure I give you your motion correctly, then, so I'd like to make, I guess I'm going to rescind what I started, because I never finished it. And let's, I'd like to make a motion that we to get a quote to hire a firm or a consultant to do a fire station, to look at fire station design and, to both the fire station designs, and go from there. Does that kind of narrow it down, or?
do you want the 2 or do you want just 5 bugles or?
I get the 2 to be
Probably get
safe.
the 2 just so we have to compare and see and, yeah, we probably should have the 2 to compare, just not to shut the door on it, but maybe just ask them for something in writing and then we can, the next meeting, take the recommendation and
So basically,
yeah.
it'd be basically approving that the chief go out and get
Absolutely.
proposals for fire station design and
Redesign, yeah, because I agree,
from
but I think
the 2
it's
firms noted.
correct. Yep. That's my motion. And my side note is, I think as long as we have a train track that divides our community in half, we're kind of going to be 2 fire stations until we can address that. Making sure. But anyways, that was my original motion.
You seconded it there?
Yes.
All right. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
And to remember, in the carryover resolution, we carried over $35,000 from operating surplus to the fire station out of the fund.
Yes, that's right.
All right, next, consider
Thanks, Scott.
Consider the scope for city property security to include camera and access systems. Go with you, Chief?
We'll go with David now.
All right.
Around this time last year, maybe a little earlier, I was asked to take a look at the security at City Hall. While doing my survey, one of the glaring lacks that the city has is cameras. There are no security cameras in City Hall, PD, and also out at the Public Works Garage. One of the proposals that we have is we sought out some quotes had some companies come in, they went around, we pointed out the areas where we thought cameras should be. They came back with some quotes. Right now, we're trying to clarify the scope of work for this thing. What we're seeking is a turnkey system. These guys are to come in, develop this thing, and with very little work on our end as far as that goes. What we're looking for is cameras in every in and out point in the building. That includes the stairwells, access to the first floor here, and also for the exterior. One of the benefits of the exterior cameras is one of those is going to be provided for an internet exchange point out in our parking lot, so people who buy and sell things on Craigslist, etc., have a place that's recorded so they can do their transactions. That's one thing we wanted to provide for the public. Along with our survey of the building, we have also discovered that our access point software system and the hardware to get in and out of the doors is getting a little old. The problem is it works right now, and it's working fine with some hitches. But if it goes down, we can't fix it because the system is that old according to the
And it's only on one computer at the police department. You can't
Correct.
spread it out. I remember
So
some very limitations.
there are some inadequacies in this thing that we're looking at. It's limited scheduling and kind of, like I said, hiccups here and there. So we have to call IT to come and try to get the bugs out of this thing.
It's been around a long time.
So numbers wise, what we're looking at is the security access alone. Let me go back. The third thing that we looked at in this project was the panic buttons throughout City Hall. Some offices have them, some don't. Some work, some don't. At some point, I would recommend replacing them all. We do have a proposal from the one company to replace those as well. I mean, there are offices that should have these things that don't have them, to be honest. But again, with the cameras, we'll have cameras that cover finance, we'll have cameras that cover the clerk's office, the areas that are open and need these things. Numbers we're looking at for the cameras, some of the quotes have gone between $38,000 and $56,000 for a turnkey system, which would include things such as the server for the storage, things of that nature. We're looking for a server that will hold 30 days of motion-activated video and then override it if we don't need the video. These cameras wouldn't be recording an empty room 24 hours a day. That's why they're motion-activated. There's no point. That would just fill up your server, so that's what we're specifying. And with that said, like I said, it's between $38,000 and $56,000 for the cameras. For the security access points, the rough quote that we've gotten is around $25,000 for the security access points and the panic buttons. With just the security access and the software and the things for the door readers, it'd be around $20,000. So what we're looking for is, to go out and refine the quotes with these companies and come back to you guys with some quotes with those numbers in mind.
So, two questions I would have is, so if we go forward with this, is there gonna be an annual fee on the storage of the?
It would be our server, so we wouldn't be
Okay,
paying
so
any fees.
it's just a one-time.
Correct.
And then the other one, because it's been brought up to me before, is cameras at the splash pad. Could we include this in the quote, or would that be a different? Because it says city property, so I mean.
Yeah, that gets pretty weird. There are cameras in some of the parks. As far as a splash pad, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was included in the scope of work. I thought they were installed out there.
I think you're right. The cameras, there are cameras in certain parks. I can't tell you which ones right now.
Robinson and St. Paul's.
Yes, so,
Splash pad should have them, and they were included in the scope, so if they weren't installed, we should.
I'll look into that. I don't know. I'd have to talk to Tyler or someone about that, but I know that some of the parks do have cameras. We want to feed those all in. We can get into it later on, but one of the companies that we've been talking to is the company that did the cameras at the high school, and that is a phenomenal system that you can log into from remotely and things of that nature. And I'm not sure if them or Complete Control are the ones who put the cameras in at the splash pad. It's one of the two. But we can look and see if we can remotely access those cameras. Again, we're also looking to put cameras out of Public Works because I don't know why we wouldn't.
A lot of inventory and everything else.
If I remember, prior to the major city hall renovation, we did have cameras in here when we had a dispatch center. So there was cameras like, I remember facing the front door in some of them places, but then they'd stopped working. So, and then through the renovation, it was all pulled out and there was nothing ever.
There's going to be two also, as part of the quote and the scope that we've asked for, is that there'll be 2 points in the police department, one in the lieutenant's office and one in records, where the monitors are constantly observed, for events and things. But so we'll always have monitors showing all the feeds here in City Hall.
So it was the lieutenant's office and which other one?
Records.
Records, and there is typically always somebody in those offices then, because that's kind of.
During business hours, yeah. Otherwise, they'll be reporting, but when everyone's here in the building, such as the mayor, finance, the clerk, during working hours, where there could be an incident, there's always somebody who'd be looking at that screen. During the nighttime hours when we're closed for business, but we're here, we'll be recording.
Just because, I think the cameras are a great idea and I'm on board with it, but it's like, my opinion is if you're gonna have the cameras, it's great to have them to be proactive. So if you see something that's going on that should be going on, that you can react to the crime right away, as opposed to being reactive and having to track people down. So like, for example, you talked about having a camera that points out to the parking lot for people to have a safe spot to do an online transaction. Well, somebody needs out at the parking lot at 9 o'clock at night to do their transaction. It might be hit or miss if somebody's in the police department to monitor that. And just an idea to float out to you, I believe your auxiliary officers have a certain number of events or hours that they have to complete per year. Might it be feasible from time to time to have some auxiliary come in and sit and watch the camera? I mean, it's probably not going to cover all the spaces, but
Yeah, I couldn't guarantee that, every day.
not every day, but
Yeah.
just, to have.
If there was something special going on, of course, but I couldn't guarantee to get one of these kids to come in and watch a camera.
It's just so you can have somebody that extra set of eyes to get on a radio.
The thing about the internet exchange site out in the parking lot is if we had the camera, it'd be 100% more than what we have right now.
Absolutely.
And if anything, we would have a much better chance of catching whoever would do something if we had video.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and in my business too, I have this for a key control, and I can talk to you more about my thoughts on that, which I've been very happy with, keyless access. And then I'll tell you the kind of local company that later on that maybe might want to talk to about my camera, because I have a camera system. I can look at my phone and I can pull it up, and it has 30-day storage, and I can actually go on my phone and go back and see what happened 3 days ago if I want. But I agree that it's more fact that you have it recorded, you can go back and be able to look back into it, and which is priceless. And so I think going forward, I agree. I think going forward, especially at City Hall here and the locations that are being discussed, is we need to have something. We've had it, and we obviously at one point in our lives or in our history thought cameras were important, and for some reason it kind of fell to the wayside. And man, I think even more so now, it's even more important, and safety and security of people here at City Hall is
I'm a firm believer in cameras.
absolutely. Yeah. So I guess I'll make a motion that we proceed to that next step to get formal quotes for a camera system, keyless access, and also look at the option for the upgrade and the panic right away, and just getting I hate to see us retrofit something to a new system if it's already old and kind of getting outdated anyways. So yeah, that's my motion that we seek that formal quotes now.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none.
Covered the scope and everything pretty well, and I think, a lot of discussion at staff meetings about this just to make sure we're considering all the hot spots. So
Yeah,
As Chief said, probably about a
it's
year
been about a year that we've been talking about this.
Yeah. I just, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 10, consider a resolution appointing Bond Trust Services Corporation to serve as fiscal agent for the city of Wisconsin Rapids in connection with outstanding obligations. I think that sounds like a Tim item.
Yeah, that's a Tim item. Basically what it is that whenever we issue debt, the bond, the principal and interest payments on those bonds, that the depository trust company serves as that collection agency where all the payments are wired to them, and then they disperse it to the underwriters or the investors in those bonds and for those payments. Effective, I think, last week, the depository trust company changed the methods in which they're doing it. Before it was very simple. They would give us notice of this is what the principal payment. It was kind of weird is that you had to wire them the principal payments, but the interest, they would automatically debit your account. And now they're making you fill out all these spreadsheets and with all the QSIPs of the things, and you have to actually send it to the correct agent. And I don't know if anyone's ever dealt with depository trust company, but they're not very reliable as far as, I remember when they double debited our account for an interest payment, and you wouldn't believe the amount of time and paperwork I had to do to get back our own money from them and stuff. And so just with this complexity, and the thing is the risk of if they didn't receive the information or the right person over there didn't receive the right information, they don't process your debt payment, and then all of a sudden it's considered default, and that's the last thing you want. We have 12 outstanding bond issues. Right now, we use a paying agent on 5 of them. So basically what we would be doing is for the other 7 issues, we'd be employing Bond Trust Services to act as that fiscal agent. And basically, I just wire the wire to them, and then they're the intermediary between the city and the depository trust company. And it'd be about $2,400 a year to add those additional 7 bond issues.
I don't even know what to ask. Okay.
Basically, in summary, this is just to make things easier for someone to deal with the bonds and the payments.
Right, it's just with the complexities of what depository trusts, and I don't have a lot of faith in depository trusts and dealing with them, or if you ever try to contact somebody. I think I found our contact is in Tampa, Florida, for the Midwest. I don't understand why, and it's just one of those things where, I was kind of discussing it, and I actually discussed it with some other municipalities. A lot of them are just going with it just because, it's just becoming too complicated, and depository trust is just a pain to deal with. And the last thing you ever want to do is have a hiccup and you default on a bond payment, because then your investors, any future debt issues, that's going to
be negatively impact
that.
it, right?
So I just think it's worth the money spent to avoid that and just the headaches. If it was like it was before, I had no problem doing it, but now with these spreadsheets you have to fill out and send it to the right person.
And they take care of this now, or?
Yeah, basically what they would do is right now we have 5 of them. The paying agent just notifies me, they send me basically an invoice. I wire them the money, and then they take care of, then.
It sounds a whole lot less complicated.
Yeah, like I said, if it wouldn't have changed, I wouldn't be here, but now with this new change and stuff, it's just, a lot of people are just saying they just don't want to deal with depository trust.
Well, and just the cost of an error that could be.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion to appoint Bond Trust Services as recommended by the finance director to serve as fiscal agent for the city of Wisconsin Rapids in connection with outstanding obligations.
And I'll second that.
Is there any other further discussion or questions for Tim? All right, hearing none.
What was the cost?
$2,400?
Okay.
It's actually $2,800, but one of those is water and light, so I will bill them $400.
I missed when you said
I think
that.
they missed it.
Okay. can amend that motion for the, to include the cost in there, if you think we should do that.
It's just basically $400 an issue. It's basically what the,
I'd like to amend the motion for the $400 an issue and for the finance director to bill Water and Light for handling of that. Still good with the second?
I second it.
I'm still good with the second, okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 10 is audit of the bills. Did everyone get a chance to look through this packet?
Yes,
And
I did.
you did or did not?
No, I did.
All right.
So how close are we getting to be able to have like a viewer access and the new software?
oh, right now we're in our dead week and we're processing all financial transactions, so technically next week we go live. So once we kind of go live and get all the kinks
I was gonna
worked
say,
out-
it's not a high priority, but it'll be nice to be able to, instead of wading through these. But no, that sounds good, so. Any questions?
You guys get the thing, yes? You get the play with me?
We'll just have like a viewer access.
You like it?
Any questions on the bills?
Nope.
I make a motion to pay the bills as presented.
Do you need the numbers or do you have the numbers?
I'll just put it-
Okay. According, yeah,
Approve the attached bills.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and second. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item number 12 is beverage operator licenses. We have 2 stacks. We have first timers, I guess, and renewals. It looks like we have 2 that should not get their licenses. Is that correct here, chief?
There was a note on there.
Let me see what you got, 'cause I didn't even hire anybody. Maybe it's because of fees or something. No, there's fees. She has 2 warrants and she owes some money, and the other one's past due on her fee. So that's when the clerk got.
From the court.
Give her a license and have them get it, and we'll just put the rest around the warrant.
I don't know if you want to, I can make a motion that we approve the licenses pending those 2 that have outstanding obligations with court, that they need to satisfy those obligations before their license is renewed.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and second. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we have the license renewals, and I didn't see anything for you to deny any renewals there,
No,
chief?
not this round.
Next meeting.
I will make a motion to accept the renewal applications for beverage operator licenses.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and second. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Our next item is to set our next meeting date.
August 6th,
That's the first Tuesday?
first Tuesday.
All right. At 5 PM. Are you guys, is Human Resources still meeting?
We're kind of in limbo on meeting dates. We haven't like nailed down which is unfortunate, a specific regular date.
Before I put down 5 PM and we agree on this, I was wondering, Jake, you work till 5 every day, though, don't you?
4:30.
4:30? Would it be difficult for you if we started at 4:45? The reason I ask is just because
I can make it here. I can make it here for that.
Yeah, I hate getting so far over on Public Works also.
yeah, because like, tonight it wouldn't be so bad, but if we were on the first Tuesday, we'd be 6 minutes into Public Works time already, and some of the agendas get long, and I just want to be cognizant of the folks that follow us. So should we try August 6th, 2019 at 4:45 PM?
That works for me.
Maybe that gives Public Works a little extra time so they're not late on us. 4:45. All right. Set our next meeting date from now. It looks like in open session, the committee will vote to go into closed session under section 19.85, para 1, para E of the Wisconsin statutes, which reads, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. In closed session, the committee will consider proposals and recommendations regarding recreational and downtown wayfinding signage, project design services, discuss negotiation parameters and strategies, and may discuss the award of a contract. The committee may return to open session and may take action or make recommendations regarding item 9A, which may include to award a contract, or the committee may adjourn in closed session.
And just a typo, it should be 14A would be what you'd be potentially taking action on.
I will make a motion to go into closed session. Roll call vote.
I'll second it.
Oh, sorry. I have a motion second. Roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye. Mayor, is there anyone that we should keep in here?
Yeah, I think everybody that's here, I'm sure the chief doesn't have any interest in being here for that.
So we'll wait till we're off air.